So just getting started here. Um, we gapped up last night, and so far, we've kind of been cruising for buy side. We took out the previous buy side, um, and created a swing high here around 908. A couple minutes ago, we just came down to the first presented fair value gap, and now it looks like we're heading up, but I don't know if we'll head up or stay in this area. I think what's most important to watch right now is this order block here, and then this order block. But first, I'm going to go ahead and start to get the buy side and sell side noted so that we have targets to aim for in terms of liquidity. And in terms of buy side liquidity, I think we're already set. We have this high here, this swing high, which is also the all-time high. And we had to make projections based off of the swing on the hourly from the low to the current high. Um, so we can't really zoom out and see any further highs because this is the highest high we have. And that's why we're using projections. For sell side, we've got this here, which we just created, this swing low. So on that swing low, we have 21,818. Then we've got this here, which is just below these relative equal lows. So below there is 21,775, 75. We've kind of got these relative equal lows. We have these, but I like these more. Just a few handles lower. So we're gonna go with that 21,752 level. So this looks pretty bullish. Um, I'm not really seeing much of a reason to go lower, unless we have a TGIF, which would show up in the way of a 20 to 30% retracement. So the current 20% level is here, current 30% level is here, and that changes if we make a high here. If we make a higher high, we'll have to adjust that. So next we'll go with these relative equal lows here, 21,730. Those are from the Asia session. Got this here, which is nice. It's we'll go ahead and mark it 21,725. It's just below those Asia relative equal lows. And then we're gonna use this here. So this is about 21,697. And that's a swing low from Asia as well. After that, we do have this fair value, well, not fair value gap. It is a fair value gap, but it's a new day opening gap. We could look to shoot for the midpoint here. 21,666. It's not exactly liquidity, but it is a large area that wasn't traded. So if we are going to head up efficiently, we would want to come up and tag this. Otherwise, we'll come down and tag this and then go back up. Otherwise, we're going to shoot up pretty strongly and leave that open for a while. Right now, price is looking a little dreary on the one. So we did have this little delivery here, and then we came back up here. I'm gonna go ahead and mark this order block right here. See if we have come into the midpoint of it. I don't think we have. Okay, looks like so right now on the 1 minute, it is a bit inefficient, kind of seeing some back and forth here. So I'm gonna drop down to the 15 second to see if that gives us a better read. Looking at the 15 second, looks like it was a high resistance liquidity run, but right now I think I'm gonna wait to see if we can take out either side of either liquidity on the miner. So the buy side here or the sell side, I want to see if we can take one of those out before considering taking any trades here. We've got some SMT divergence going on here, so the NASDAQ is flying pretty high. The ES is just barely positive, and the YM is negative. So that will make for a bit of sideways price action normally. And if we can see them get in sync, it's a lot easier to trust the direction that we head in. So for this little price delivery right here, the most important thing is this order block. This was the last order block, last couple of closed candles before heading lower. So if price does come back in this direction, we want to watch and see whether or not it respects this. It does look like we're in some pretty inefficient price action at the moment. So if price is going to be a bit efficient, we will see this candle here start to head down and want to rush to take this out. Otherwise, we'll probably just be in this dreary price action for a bit. So we're starting to see the SMT want to get a little bit in line between the YM and the ES here. The ES is starting to come down. The YM is still going a little bit lower, and the Nasdaq has dropped a little bit, but not a ton. So it does look like they're trying to get in sync in the lower direction. So we should want to see this candle here start to draw down. The next one right here come no higher than like halfway here and just start to run a bit lower. Want to take this out. So we should get a big move on this candle. So we run this sell side, and considering where we are, I do think we're going to want to continue lower to at least take out this TGIF here. So this is a pretty high resistance liquidity run. Nice. So if we can see it close below here, we should start to go lower a little more quickly. So this should be a pretty strong down close candle. This is a bit of higher resistance, but I do think this candle here should want to push through and at least tag this TGIF level. Hmm. Very high resistance. We did run this minor sell side here, but this is so close. Um, it would make sense to run this, but this is a pretty high resistance. Just very dreary price action overall. Like this is the 1 minute, which looks terrible. Even the 15-second is not moving very quickly, so not the most trustworthy price action here. And right back into the first presented fair value gap. So our fourth reference. So it may be a no trade morning for me. Just don't love what I'm seeing. Interesting. So the Dow is like sneakily moving toward the positive territory while these guys here are kind of hanging out. So we might want to see like one hard push lower that ends up bringing these guys kind of in sync. I swear it's always Fridays that are like this. If I'm not streaming, we get like halfway normal price action. Hmm. So as we're pushing down right now, the Dow isn't really going lower. It's actually gone up like just a tad bit. We want to watch to see if this goes lower. I mean, obviously we need to watch the price action here, but there's not much going on in the way of price action. But I think this is gonna be fairly important. And we get that 20% TGIF. So we can see the Dow is starting to move higher while these are seemingly moving lower. So they may be pulling wool over our eyes here. So we would like to see a pretty strong candle, either on this one or the next one. That's today's opening range gap high that we're on, or that we just hit. So pretty close to this AM sell side. Okay, so we took it on the, let's see if we took it on here as well. Yep, so we took it on the mini as well as the micro. And now the Dow is coming lower. So NQ is lagging. So 730. Um, that is the opening range gap midpoint, but it's also the lows from the Asia session right over here. So pretty close to running them. We're right there. We should run them. We also hit the 20 or 30% TGIF retracement as well. So that's a 30% retrace on the weekly range. So I'm going to mark this order block because it was the highest order block on the last leg of this delivery here. So the 1 minute still not the cleanest. Let's see here. Seven, 50. Just gonna move up to the 1 minute quickly. start is pretty high resistance here. Once we got here, it's a little better. Got some inefficiency here, but still left the midpoint of this order block untouched. So if we do continue up here, I want to watch the midpoint of this, see if we can close above it. But more importantly, we want to watch how we trade if we can get to the midpoint of this order block here. I want to watch this as a possible silver bullet. We're in a pretty strong bearish delivery right now, so it's a little less of a likelihood to get the silver bullet right now. But we do want to watch this to see whether or not we keep this fair value gap open, meaning we don't close below it. I want to see if this current candle trades into here and then starts to expand. If it doesn't do that, we'll probably go sideways for a bit and maybe lower. So I run into a little bit of inefficiency here. So it looks like we're going to be into in a bit of inefficiency here. So a little bit of strong price action in both directions, I think, but no real decided long-term direction for a little bit. So normally we could trust closing below this order block here. But with this price action, I don't think we're going to respect it. So right there, we disrespected it. So this is today's opening range gap midpoint. So I would think that we'd tag that considering where we are. So we just tagged it and I believe the top of the new day opening gap for today. Just super high resistance, even down to the 15-second. Some pretty inefficient price action. It's delivered lower, but not very clean. Hmm. So he closed this. Oh, no, not quite. Close to closing this gap, but we didn't. But we did trade into it at least. Pretty close to the midpoint here. In terms of local liquidity, there isn't really much outside of this swing low here and this here, which I believe was yesterday's low, 602.25. So we'll probably close this up in about 15 minutes or so for a no trade day or no trade morning, at least. the YM is almost to break even now. Okay, so we want to watch this order block here if we can get there.
Hey, boy, get it, get him.
So YM is now flirting with positive territory. I want to see if we can make it to this order block here. And if we do, how we trade in that area. So right now I want to see if this candle or the next candle can come down into this order block here. And if it does that and pushes off going higher, we might get a propulsion block for a short move higher. It looks like we're just moving into an efficiency here. Um, Either that or lower. But if we wanted to see price spring higher, we would have wanted to see price trade into this order block here, not close below the midpoint. So um, price right now isn't giving grounds for taking an entry looking for buy side liquidity. And now YM is back in negative territory. So probably hang around sideways for a bit. Makes sense to at least go through this midpoint here. And if not, I would think that we do later in the day, but not too much in terms of a trade that's panning out for me right now. Okay, so we've closed above the midpoint of this order block here. Still a little bit of a tough one because we haven't taken out the midpoint of this. Um, so to me, it's still a little bit sketchy trying to take an entry, a long entry, especially about 40 points away, 60 points away. And if we can get up here, that'll make for a balanced price range with this. So we just balance this price range and immediate rebalance here. So that should give us grounds to start to spool higher. I still think it's sketchy considering we have these relative equal lows right here in the midpoint of this gap right here, but So it looks like a high resistance liquidity run for sell side here. So what's most important is the midpoint of this order block here. So on the 1 minute, we traded into this fair value gap here, and this is now a balanced price range, but I want to see if we can make this a balanced price range. We can make that a balanced price range. We should be able to extend higher. The tough part and like downside of that is this is the price range from here to here. So it's a pretty large amount of risk that we'd have to take on. to trust that. But we did just balance it, so we should be able to see price start to expand pretty quickly here. So looking at a possible propulsion block here with this trading into here. So we shouldn't want to see price come below here. We should want to start seeing it expand if we're going to move into a sustained bullish trend. In this candle here, we should see spool pretty high pretty quickly. We do have this volume imbalance, but if we're wanting to run away fast, we'll leave it open. So I should see this one here come down just a little bit and then start to expand quickly. So I just happened to miss that one. And we have this buy side liquidity here that we could be seeking. So 21,777. So it looks like we're in a little bit of inefficiency here. I want to see us like break out of it. So whether or not that means going lower and then starting to spring higher or just starting to spring higher, I want to come out of this. I want to come out of it first so that price can move a little bit more efficiently. And we're still waiting on the ES to catch up, but pretty much flat on the Dow and up about 0.5% on the NQ here. So we kind of broke free of this little bit here, traded into this order block here. I like this order block more, but we've now traded into this, so I think we may have room to move higher if we aren't too inefficient here. So we want to see how we treat this order block here. The way that price action is right now, I personally don't think we're going to respect the midpoint. Oh man, it's almost 12. I gotta get out of here. Hey, bud. Hey, come here. Come here. Guess that's a no.